You stand accused of treason. How do you answer these charges, Lord Baelish?
Littlefinger didn't die in the Great Hall of Winterfell, surrounded by people who despised him. He died many months earlier during a casual conversation near Moat Cailin. In this scene, he pulls off what looks like a perfect manipulation and turns it into his own death sentence. By the end of it, he has already made 3 fatal mistakes that make his downfall inevitable. When Littlefinger avoided justice after killing Lady Arryn and becoming Lord Protector of the Vale, he and Sansa left somewhere.
You told Lord Royce we were going to the Fingers.
I did.
He didn't tell anyone where they were going.
But we're heading west.
Yeah.
That made sense. The Lannisters were hunting Sansa. But why didn't he tell Sansa their destination?
So where are we going?
To a land so far from here.
The truth only comes out when it's too late to turn back.
Where are you taking me?
Home.
The Boltons have Winterfell.
If he had told her earlier, Sansa simply would not have gone. He knew that. This is simple manipulation. Withhold the truth until the momentum of the journey makes it harder to say no.
Your marriage proposal, it wasn't for you.
No.
Littlefinger did what he always does. He told only half the truth. He had prepared her for a marriage proposal, but he never mentioned it was her marriage.
Roose Bolton murdered my brother. I won't go.
First, he pulls her back to Winterfell.
Winterfell is your home.
Not anymore.
Always.
The one place she still longs for after years in hostile King's Landing. Then he reminds her who she is.
You're a Stark. Dyeing your hair doesn't change that. You're Sansa Stark.
Not a fugitive, not a victim, a Stark. And now it's not about what she wants.
Eldest surviving child of Ned and Catelyn Stark. Your place is in the north.
It's about what she owes.
You can't make me. He is a traitor, a murderer.
You're not marrying Roose Bolton.
This is a classic pattern interrupt. Sansa is prepared to resist one thing, marrying Lord Bolton. He changes the target, and suddenly, she has to listen.
No, you'll be marrying his son and heir.
I will die before I have to go there.
But Littlefinger needs this marriage, so he changes tactics.
I won't force you to do anything. Say the word and we'll turn the horses round, but listen to me. Listen.
Littlefinger knows exactly what Sansa thinks now. She already decided to go back, but she will listen out of courtesy, and that's all he needs. He goes for the throat, emotionally.
You've been running all your life.
He starts with the strongest argument. She has been running, and now the home is so close.
You've been a bystander to tragedy from the day they executed your father. Stop being a bystander.
He reminds her of one of her worst nightmares, when her father was executed in front of her.
Bring me his head.
She could do nothing. She was helpless.
There's no justice in the world, not unless we make it.
He offers her the one thing more addictive than safety, revenge. She lost almost all her family. She's been dreaming of it.
You loved your family. Avenge them.
And then he leaves her with all that, but he knows it landed. She is offered stability, home, revenge, and it starts to make sense. That's what she thought. That's what Littlefinger himself thought. They were both mistaken. In this moment, Littlefinger is at the height of his powers. Everything is working exactly as he planned. What Littlefinger didn't realize, the moment she turned her horse, he was already a dead man. By marrying Sansa to the Boltons, he makes 3 mistakes, and each one brings him closer to his own execution. If you like this kind of analysis, subscribe. I make more of these. Thank you. The cracks in his plan become clear a few weeks later during their final meeting before he departs for the capital.
King's Landing.
Cersei sent for me. We mustn't let her sniff out any trouble.
He frames his departure as an act of protection, but the moment he reaches King's Landing, he sells her out to Cersei.
But I have found Sansa Stark. They tell me Roose Bolton plans to marry her to his son, Ramsay.
But Sansa doesn't know that yet. Back at Winterfell, she is terrified.
You can't leave me here.
But it won't be for long.
And he reveals some information to her. He tells her that Stannis Baratheon will soon march from Castle Black to King's Landing.
He'll march south to King's Landing before the winter snows block his way.
And since Winterfell lies on his path, he will take it first.
He has to take Winterfell.
You don't know that.
I do.
Stannis is a man of rigid law. Boltons are traitors for him, so they would be executed. But the Starks are the rightful lords of Winterfell. If Stannis takes the north, he would need a Stark to stabilize it.
You are the last surviving Stark. He needs you.
So Sansa is supposed to tolerate the Boltons until Stannis comes and rescues her.
You think he'll defeat the Boltons?
He has a larger army. He's the finest military commander in Westeros.
But he was making his first fatal error. Littlefinger wasn't lying about the plan, he was lying about his certainty. His plan made perfect sense on southern paper. But Littlefinger doesn't bet on certainties, he bets on hedges. Outcome A. Stannis wins, Sansa is warden, Littlefinger is her hero, and he wields the whole north. Outcome B. The Boltons win, Sansa is married to Ramsay, and Littlefinger still has a foot in the door. Later, he can use his Vale army and rescue her himself with Lannister support.
The Knights of the Vale are some of the best fighters in Westeros.
Again, the north is his.
And if you succeed?
Name me Warden of the North.
He viewed the north like a financial market, but he failed to account for the circumstances, like the northern winter.
All we have to do is wait for them to freeze, starve, and mutiny.
He understood politics, but he didn't understand logistics. He didn't realize that 20 men in a snowstorm could defeat a king that 1,000 swords couldn't.
A betting man would put his money on Stannis. As it happens, I am a betting man.
In his mind, he wasn't just leaving Sansa, he was placing her. He thought he had just made a high-risk, high-reward investment. That was his first mistake. He placed a bet on the wrong environment, but the second mistake was far more brutal.
And what if you're wrong? What if Stannis never attacks Winterfell, or he does and the Boltons defeat him?
Littlefinger believed that even if Stannis didn't arrive immediately, the Boltons would treat Sansa like glass. Sansa was the key to the north. Without her, the Boltons were just usurpers. With her, they were legitimate.
Then you will take this Bolton boy, Ramsay, and make him yours. He's already fallen for you.
Have you ever questioned how Littlefinger could hand Sansa over to Ramsay? He likely didn't care much about her feelings, but she was still a very valuable asset. He needed her for his future plans, and he needed her alive and well. No Sansa, no future power in the north. How could he give her to a sadistic psycho who just destroys everyone? He didn't do his homework. His spy network was built for King's Landing and the Vale. He had no idea what was going on inside the Dreadfort.
I've heard very little about you, which makes you quite a rare thing, as lords go.
He thought Ramsay was like Joffrey, a spoiled, predictable brat who could be manipulated by a clever woman. He didn't realize he was dealing with something else entirely. Ramsay doesn't use people, he destroys them. Littlefinger is practical. He preserves what is useful. He couldn't conceive of a monster who would break his most valuable asset just to hear it scream. For the first time, Littlefinger was out of his depth because he met a man who didn't care about the latter. He assumed people act to preserve power. Ramsay doesn't care about preserving anything. For Littlefinger, people are tools. For Ramsay, people are toys. Even Lord Bolton, who lived with Ramsay and saw all his atrocities, still underestimated him and was killed for it. Littlefinger stood no chance. This leads us to the final mistake, the one that actually held the blade to his throat. He turned Sansa into his enemy. By handing Sansa to the Boltons, Littlefinger proved he was not her protector.
I've protected you.
Protected me by selling me to the Boltons.
He traded her trust for a temporary alliance, failing to realize that Sansa was the only person who knew where all his bodies were buried. He thought Sansa was still a little bird who could be easily deceived, but he had been her teacher. She had been observing him, watching him betray the Lannisters.
The Lannisters gave you wealth, power.
A man with no motive is a man no one suspects.
Kill Lady Arryn and sell her.
It's her name I need, not her virtue.
Then I have delivered everything I promised.
At some point, Sansa simply knew too much because he let her see too much. He violated his own most important rule.
If they don't know who you are or what you want, they can't know what you plan to do next.
He stopped hiding.
Whenever I consider an action, I ask myself, will this action help to make this picture a reality?
He revealed exactly what he was and what he wanted.
A picture of me, on the Iron Throne, and you by my side.
He was too arrogant to believe she could ever outsmart him.
Sometimes when I'm trying to understand a person's motives, I play a little game. I assume the worst.
He didn't realize that his masterpiece had become his judge.
Which charges confuse you?
And unlike everyone else he manipulated, she understood exactly what he was. He taught her how to lie, how to wait, and how to strike. And one day she uses all of it on him, and he will be buried under the ladder he was so carefully building. Tell me in the comments, do you think Littlefinger actually loved Sansa, or was she always just his most dangerous gamble? And don't forget to like and subscribe.